Father Dries here, answering your high school questions, high schoolers, from November 5th. First question. Can God create a being equal to himself? No. All right, because God is self-existence. All things exist because of him, through him. He can't create a being that exists all on its own because while he's creating it, he's providing it existence. So no, he cannot create a being that's equal to himself. He can't create there's the thing, there's the, some paradox of like, can God create a rock so big that he can't pick it up? Well no, that's ridiculous. He's all powerful. Nothing surpasses him in excellence. He can't create something that's more infinite. He can't create something that's infinite. Next question, is something beautiful because it exists? If yes, in the sense of what God has created, natural, just the elements, the natural plants, animals, creation. There's the fact of something exists. There's a goodness there, as well as there's a certain ordering and beauty at a certain level. So I think this natural landscapes, there's a certain beauty of, like the sun setting at different parts of the trees, the leaves changing at this time of the year. They're actually all more or less falling off the trees. But there's a certain beauty there. When we get to human things, there's it's kind of more of our proportion because we use certain metrics to understand, okay, is things kind of proportional and such. But with natural things, there is a beauty in the fact that they exist. And I mean, as humans, we want to kind of imitate the Lord in some way when we create things with a certain beauty. But yes, so something's beautiful because at one level because it exists, because there's goodness there. But there's varying degrees, especially when you get into human fabricated things, man-made kind of things using God's creation, kind of us ordering things or misordering them, can vary the beauty kind of human things that are made. Next question, can something be beautiful in its simplicity? Yes, it can be. There's certainly something like for even in spiritual life, the more one grows in holiness, there's a certain simplification in one's relationship with God, as well as kind of just in one's life. It has to do with a person is becoming more kind of in tune with the Lord, and there's less kind of need to try to figure stuff out, worry, because you're like, no, there's this deeper trust. Okay, Lord, what's the next thing? And there's simple, I don't have to. There's less of the pull to I need to figure all this out, whereas I'm more in tune with the Lord, and I can just live more in the now, in the present, and just kind of in that deeper level of trust, as well as just there's a beauty and simplicity in you could say in the simple things of life, like watching a child play, like a little child play. There's something just beautiful there. There are people, something beautiful of, an artist doing a great, doing a masterpiece, or orchestra. There's beauty there, but even in the simple things, like a child drawing something, there's a beauty there of in its simplicity. So even in enjoying the simple things of life, there's a certain beauty there of how we can the delights of watching the sunset, just kind of enjoying the simple things in life. There's a certain beauty there. Next question. My Baptist and Protestant friends believe they are saints because they have accepted Christ into their lives. Could you explain why we don't, and why we believe in saints in heaven? Probably why we don't believe we're saints. Well, the word saints, it shows up in Paul's letters. In particular, he'll say to the saints in Rome. Could be translated as the holy ones. So saints is really... it's one translation of the words holy ones. Those that are, and holy here is those set apart for the Lord. That's what holiness kind of at its basic level is, something set apart for the Lord. So we, as we become part of the communion of saints at baptism when we receive sanctifying grace in baptism. So on one level we are saints, but we often, we could say we're lowercase s saints. The saints uppercase s saints. Those are the ones in heaven. They're kind of the all stars. Those are the ones we want, role models, spirituals, role models and such. And so it partly it's just translations and stuff, and how as Catholics we typically don't call ourselves, kind of, oh, I'm a saint. Well, I'm set apart for the Lord, but it come off kind of, at least Catholics we can understand, like, well, I'm weak. I have a lot of, I'm not a, I'm, there's a lot of growth. I don't love perfectly, and all the time. I'm not like a Saint Joan of Arc or Saint Peter or Saint Paul. One who gave their life, and even they had their flaws, but the kind of heroic virtue that they showed. So that's partly, that's why it's not that we aren't. There's a level we could call ourselves saints, but Catholic, because it's in, but it's more of we often, for Catholics, we reserve that for kind of the model, the all stars, those that lived kind of fully, or kind of, which it, the one temptation, if we just, well, we're saints, we're good, we're good. Well, no, we need to strive. I want to be with the all stars, in terms of holiness, not because of like, look at me, but because they share, and kind of God works through them more powerfully, and God wants to work through you and me, kind of in our own unique ways, in our own situation, our own life, in powerful ways. So I think that's partly why and many Protestants don't, kind of, this whole idea of praying to the saints or the communion of saints. They see it as often, well, it gets in the way of you. Why don't you just go right to Jesus? Why don't you go right to God? As Catholics, we're like, well, it's part of God's family. Like, they're closer to God, and the parents, they love it when their children kind of help each other. This is something parents delight when they're younger children, when they're help, and even when they're growing up, when their children help each, brothers and sisters who help out. That gives delight to the parents. The parents aren't like, well, no, you can't help each other. They should just come to me, and I should do everything. I should be the only one they come to for help. No. This idea of there's this network of relationships. It's not just us and God, but God, and there's all these other individuals that kind of, we all come to the Lord, and we help each other come to the Lord. We even, so yeah, this is important to the turning to the saints, and even, we do it, Protestants, they'll ask people to pray for them. Now as Catholics, we can do the same thing. Ask people, will you pray for me? Well, we're not like, well, I'm not going to pray for you. Just go right to God. Well, no, I'll pray for you, because this idea of we help bring, and the saints are more alive. Okay, they don't have their bodies except for Mary, who's assumed a body and soul into heaven. All the other saints are waiting the resurrection, but they're closer to the Lord. They're sharing the beatific vision, the happiness, the divine eternal happiness, and I want their intercession to help kind of help pull me up kind of to a higher level of excelling in life, in my spiritual life and such. So great questions. I've got some more questions coming on here, so I'll have one or two more videos here for you guys, high schoolers, for November 5th. God bless.